Welcome to Vinyl Verdict. I'm Bell.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Plouffe.
And this week, we're thanking you. Jamie, what'd you pick this week?
Okay, we're thanking you for listening to this podcast about David Bowie's The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and The Spiders from Mars.
It's true. You can't forget the and.
And
It's a very long album name.
it is.
Yeah, very long.
But
title.
if you look on the cover, it just says David Bowie's Ziggy Stardust. So
Yeah.
The
kind
Rise
of.
and Fall part is
Very small.
Very small.
Yeah,
I just call it Ziggy Stardust.
most people do, honestly.
Yeah, it's his fifth studio album.
Mm-hmm.
It is, technically speaking, his breakout album.
Wow.
Came out in 1972.
Yeah.
Was very popular.
Played Starman on like Top of the Pops or something in England.
Very popular
and
after
became
that.
very popular.
See,
after
I don't
that,
know
yeah.
anything about David Bowie. And I still don't.
Bowie.
So I was surprised that this is his breakout album. That's really cool.
Yeah. But I wrote some notes down. Let's see if I can read them without looking over my glasses. It was considered merely average in contemporary reviews. A lot of reviews were kind of like, "Oh, I can't believe this is the album that David breaks out on."
Yeah.
Rolling Stone was kind of mixed on it, but retrospective reviews of it in Rolling Stone are far more positive than their initial review. But sales of the album catapulted David to stardom in 1972 and 3. Reappraisals of the album, in the last 10, 15 years, call it the greatest one of his greatest albums. It's one of the greatest albums of all time, according to Rolling Stone. In 1987, Rolling Stone named it the number 6 album of the last 20 years.
Really?
It was their retrospective of their 20 years in existence, because they started publishing in 1967. And on their top 500 greatest albums of all time, it was number 35 on their initial list. And on the current list, it is number 45. And in a retrospective review in 2015, Pitchfork gave it a rare 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
Really?
And they hate music. So,
They hate music. That's true.
I don't agree with a large part of that.
I think it is largely very subjective.
Right?
You really have to. I think a lot of this album is very good.
Sure.
I don't think it is a perfect album.
Absolutely not.
And you can take that to the bank. That's my final verdict. The album is a loose rock opera, or perhaps a concept album, akin to Tommy, or probably more closer to American Idiot in that it follows like a loose group of characters.
100%.
The story, such as it is, follows a bisexual space alien named Ziggy Stardust. He lives on Earth in the last 5 years before Earth dies.
And probably looks like a human.
Ziggy forms a band called the Spiders from Mars, which sees some success before it succumbs to his ego and he dies on stage. That's the whole story.
Yep. I thought he saved Earth.
Does he, though?
I guess.
Yeah, that's what I
'cause
thought
he
as well.
does.
I'm like, does he? Because everyone's like, he's come to save Earth. Wow. Then it's like, oh, he's a rock star.
Yeah.
Oh, he's killed by the fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But he saved... Did he not save the Earth? Are they
Yeah.
going to die in... How
Couple
long
more years?
is this? Yeah. Are they going to die in a couple of years?
Is it the whole 5 years?
Yeah.
This album represents David Bowie's first foray into the glam rock sound.
Yeah.
Although there are multiple musical styles on this album. Some people call it proto-punk.
Yeah, there's definitely a couple. There's a couple tracks that I kind of agree with it on. It's not. I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it proto punk, but you can kind of see it there.
So the Sex Pistols describe some of the songs as being inspirational for their first album, which came out in 77, 78? I can't remember. That's the one with God Save the Queen on it. He released 4 albums in this style. Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, which is the next album, Pinups, which is a covers album done in the glam rock style, and the last one is cool. Diamond Dogs.
Diamond Dogs is great.
I like Diamond Dogs. A lot of people don't.
I think it's good. Yeah, I like Diamond Dogs.
And then he abruptly changed the sound for the next album, which was Young Americans, which is more of a soul album.
Yeah.
And by the end of the decade, his sound was completely different. It was more dance pop.
Yeah, he's changed quite a bit over the years. He's put out a lot of music though too.
Yeah. Have you ever played the game Omicron: The Nomad Soul?
I know what it is, but I haven't played it.
He both stars in the game and the whole soundtrack for it.
Cool.
It's quite good.
Yeah, I'd never knowingly listened to David Bowie before. Like, I was talking to somebody like, "Oh, you've heard Changes." I was like, "Okay, I've heard that song," but
Changes.
I'd never seen this cover. Never seen, I don't think, any of the album covers.
You played Guitar Hero though, right?
Yeah, depending on which one.
Ziggy Stardust is in Guitar Hero 1 or
And I think
No, I would have played 3, maybe, and then I was a Rock Band kid. But I was really excited.
I think Suffragette City was on Rock Band.
Yeah, because
Yes,
I
I
knew
believe
that
so. I
song,
believe it's
but
on Rock Band 1,
I couldn't
yeah.
place where.
Yeah.
The only thing David Bowie I know is Bowie's in Space by Flight of the Conchords, which is a great song.
Classic.
What you doing there?
There wasn't any sort of reason. I just I don't know anybody who's super into David Bowie.
Yeah.
He's older now too. And I mean, he
Well,
died.
he's dead, yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
He died the same year as
Has it been
Prince.
that long?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
Wow.
while.
Same year as
That's
Prince.
crazy.
And he put out like Black Star right before he died or something
he had
too, right?
terminal lung cancer. Yeah. And in this album, he was terminally on cocaine. Someone did an infographic.
I
of
saw
like
an infographic like that too.
the David Bowie's cocaine use, and you could plot it. And he said that Station to Station, the album that comes after Young Americans, he has no recollection of ever recording.
Wow, that's crazy.
Just, he put out a whole album without knowing anything about it.
That's like Stephen King and Cujo. Apparently, he wrote like the whole thing.
Maximum Overdrive.
Or was it Maximum Overdrive?
Maximum
Yeah,
Overdrive,
super
yeah.
messed up on cocaine the whole time. Doesn't remember it at all.
Anything, yeah. But I like this album. The copy I brought is my mom's. I don't remember my mom ever playing this album as a kid. I got into it when I was in university, as well as Diamond Dogs, which I think has I don't know. The Diamond Dogs from Diamond Dogs is a cool sounding song. I actually got into this album because I came across the bootleg of the live album that from this tour. It's called Live Santa Monica 72. They actually put it out as an actual official release maybe 15 years ago. And that's a really good time capsule. It captures them on tour. There's an actual live album that was put out. It was put out in the 80s. It was called the Ziggy Stardust, the motion picture, the soundtrack. It's pretty good as well. But this is an interesting point in time in his career. In later tours, he performs some of the songs from this album, but he does not do them in the same style.
What do you mean?
He does them more into the style of the music that he is performing at the time.
Really?
So there's the album that Belle and I picked up. We went to the record store a couple weeks ago, and I picked up David Live.
Sure.
And he does it in the Heroes style, the Heroes album style.
Yeah.
So much more kind of dancey, like Ziggy Stardust.
Yeah. Just for one day.
But I like this album. What did you folks think?
I like it for the most part. All the hit tracks are really good.
Yeah.
And classics, tons of classics on this, like Suffragette City.
Yeah.
I was surprised a little bit when I was looking at the Spotify plays on what the more popular ones were.
Starman, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why Starman is so popular. For me, it was always Ziggy.
He was in a number of commercials.
Oh,
it's
okay.
300 million plays or something like that.
Quite a bit. I was always more partial to Ziggy Stardust, Suffragette City, even 5 Years. It's weird how much I like 5 Years. But yeah, I don't know. There's a weird lull in the kind of third quarter of the album that I'm just not super fond of. It's 4 tracks in a row where I'm just this is just kind of boring and let's move on. But the rest of it is amazing. So I had trouble scoring this one.
Interesting.
And I debated internally for quite a bit actually.
Side A is a strong part of the album.
Yeah.
I do like most of side B though, but I am more of a David Bowie fan than probably both of you. Yeah. I grew up listening to Bowie because my dad's a big fan. Sure.
He had this album as well as many others.
Shout out to Mr. Plouffe.
Shout out. Yeah. But I actually my favorite Bowie album that I have. I only have one, and it's a cover album because it's by Sue George or Sue Jorge.
Oh, yeah. The one from
The Life Aquatic.
Life Aquatic, yeah, because he does a number of covers from this album.
Throughout the movie, he's seen playing acoustic guitar, and they're always Bowie songs. And
but
then
it's on Espanol.
Yeah, well, Portuguese.
Portuguese. Yeah.
So, but then he put out an album with all those covers, and I really like those covers.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
They're actually very interesting. Yes,
Yeah.
you put that on for us one
Yeah,
time.
they're pretty good. So like, I'm not a crazy huge Bowie fan, but I grew up listening to this stuff. Like, I've heard this album tons of times.
Sure.
Let alone the standout tracks, like even more. I was actually surprised to find that they aren't in as many movies as I was expecting. I thought for sure that a bunch of these have been played like consistently in media throughout the last like 40 years, but I couldn't find a ton of examples when I looked for it.
Yeah.
I think it mostly stems from like Rock Band and Guitar Hero and just playing them over and over there.
Sure, it's probably been used in TV too. Then
That's
just
what I
can't
think.
recall.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything. But yeah. Anyway, I liked it overall. But yeah, we'll discuss it further later.
What do you think, Bill?
I really liked it.
Good.
Very, very pleasantly surprised, and definitely will be listening to more David Bowie.
See, the problem though is that David Bowie is
All over the place. Yeah.
That's okay. Like you said, I was very pleasantly surprised by the storyline because it's not something that's like super common for it to have such a core concept.
Sure.
And surprisingly, even though there's lots of fade outs, I feel like it helps the dreamlike story that's being told and kind of helps the whole like time is passing because it's like all of a sudden he's a rock star and then all of a sudden he's like realizing sexuality is a thing and then all of a sudden he's having sex with people and that, but it doesn't really. I never felt like it was crazy or that things were advancing so fast versus American Idiot. It was like all of a sudden he's moved to this new town and everybody loves him. He's got a gang of people following him and it's like, what is going on? And this one felt more grounded, even though the story is so much farther out there.
Yeah.
And I didn't really mind the lull of the second side because it still had songs that were upper paced. Where I even go like, Star's probably, we'll talk about more, but Star's probably my least favorite song on the album, and it's still a very good song.
Sure.
I thought it was a really strong album.
Cool.
Really good.
Yeah.
Should we give it a listen?
Please.
Freak out in a moon age daydream. Oh, yeah. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He's told us not to blow it, 'cause he knows it's all worthwhile. He told me, give me your hands, 'cause you're wonderful. Give me your hands.
What an album.
What an album.
What an album. Indeed.
5 years.
5 years. 5 years is an interesting song. It introduces the story, but it doesn't, like, Ziggy Stardust isn't in 5 years.
No, it's all about like the downfall of Earth.
People are listening to a broadcast about how they've
got 5 years left.
They got 5 years, and people are freaking out. It's talking about people like freaking out in the streets.
Except for that one girl with a milkshake.
Yeah, and she's just sitting there calmly. She's having a good time. She's ready for it to end.
Yeah. She's got to wait a long time though.
But right. The narrator is just observing people.
Yeah.
I thought that's an interesting way to start the album. I never really paid attention to the lyrics very much until I had to for the podcast.
Yeah, the mix for my stereo was odd. The vocals were really quiet compared to the instruments, so it made it really hard to understand what was happening. But it was very listening,
really?
like in my car or on my headphones, it did sound better. So I was like, I don't know what it is about.
It might be your stereo.
Yeah, what it is about the stereo, because it has enhanced some songs, but this song in particular, I was like, I have no clue what he's saying. But I did really like the lyrics and the story that's being told, and it's like the havoc that happens when it's like the world is
the world's gonna end,
especially when it's so far out.
Yeah,
5 years. Like, how do you even begin to comprehend that?
Right.
Which I really liked. It's a cool theme, and the instrumentation's very, very good. I really enjoyed the song.
Yeah, I like how it builds towards the end too.
Yeah, it's a slow start to like a slow but really big intro to the whole album. The whole thing feels like really large to me, where he's almost yelling at parts of it too, especially the like 5 years, like the big near the end there. I also like how, I don't know what you call it when someone plays just like a big pronounced chord on a piano. You know, when they're playing like brr, brr, instead of
like in A Day in the Life where it
yeah. But I really enjoyed that. I thought it all comes together really well. And this is a track that I've always really enjoyed on the on the album, just for that, like, there's something about the end with the like 5 years repetition that even if I stop paying attention to the song, that always pulls me back like instantly. And
Yeah, it's a really good intro.
yeah.
Yeah, it really sets the stage for what's to come. Soul Love is probably my favorite song on the album.
It's good. I thought it was a weird departure from the intro, but
I like how I like how he's observing the different kinds of love on Earth.
oh yeah,
I thought that was like he's looking at love and he's like, well, I don't have love and love can't love me back.
All I have is my love, and love is not loving.
Yeah.
Which I thought was such a good line for so many reasons. It's like, love is not easy. It is not good. It's not like, it's not always something that you get back. Like, I don't know. It just is such a good
it's a very good observation. Yeah.
And the sax solo halfway through the song, my God, I was like, oh yes.
I wrote that down too.
So tasteful.
He's
really
got,
good song.
He's got just such a cool voice too.
I forgot to introduce the members of the band, but David Bowie played with Mick Ronson, who was the guitarist, and I can't remember some of the other guys, but one of the guy who plays the piano on the 5 years went on to become the piano player or keyboardist in Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
It's Rick Wakeman.
I'm surprised that it's not Bowie playing piano. I thought he could play piano.
I'm sure he did, but
Yeah,
he
got someone
he
to do it
plays
for this album.
Yeah. Rick Wakeman plays the piano on most of the tracks. But I probably should have written that down. Anyway, I'll look it up later. But Mick Ronson, hell of a guitarist.
Yeah.
He plays most of the guitar on this album. All the really crunchy riffs.
Yeah.
That's him. They sound really good.
The one cool thing about the saxophone that I found, and I don't know if it was just me listening on headphones, but it had really weird left and right separation.
Yeah, that's intentional. I think.
Yeah, right. It sounds like there's almost two saxophones at sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's double tracked.
It is okay. Yeah,
I believe it's like he's playing with himself.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Which I think is interesting. But I like the message in the song. Yeah, I think that was really cool. But I also like the way the song progresses, and the saxophone is really cool too. Moonage Daydream is one of the more popular songs on the album.
I was surprised. I think it's all right.
I like the intro because it reminded me of the intro to Jesus Suburbia. It's like,
Yeah.
dun, 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 get my television fixed. I was like, okay, this is genius. But it is a very good song. The chorus, awesome. Really, really good chorus for the put your ray gun to my head kind of thing. I was like, oh man, this is great.
Bass.
I really like the breakdown about halfway through. I don't know. I found this one kind of boring. I'm not crazy about Moonage Daydream. Yeah, the guitar solo at the end, it's not really that interesting, and it just goes on for so long. I don't know if he was trying to like replicate like a space phaser or something, because he kind of just hits one note for a little while.
Yeah, if you listen to it on your stereo, the stereo separation for it is like, it sounds like
Really?
a phaser shooting across
I
your
had
room.
headphones on. I did not notice like at all. It's
I think you really have to have like
a
like
wide
big,
soundstage.
Yeah, a wide
Yeah, sure.
soundstage,
Yeah,
because
no,
it sounds like
it was really
a
good.
phaser shooting across your
Okay.
room.
Maybe
And
that's
the
kinda
wind
neat.
instruments are super tasteful, and the layering of harmonizing instruments is great. The strings that come in the final chorus, like, it is so good. Just the little swell before we went to that final chorus is really, really good.
The song was originally trotted out as a single by David's side project called Arnold Corns in 1971. It did not chart, and this song was re-recorded for this album.
Thank you, Mr. Corns.
Mr. Corns, Arnold Corns. The song made David Bowie a gay icon because if you listen to the lyrics without reading them, it sounds like he's saying the Church of Man Love.
Yeah.
But there's a comma there. But it's intentionally left provocative. And David's sexuality was in question at the time, and he intentionally did that because he was in character, kind of like Daniel Day-Lewis refuses to get out of character while he's filming a movie.
Yeah.
So the entire time he was recording this album, he was in the Ziggy character, which is like really weird.
Yeah, and then he changed for the American tour, right, to
Aladdin Sane.
Aladdin Sane.
Yeah. Which is very weird and quite a choice.
Yeah, I like the makeup and stuff for Aladdin Sane. It's crazy.
With the thunderbolt on his head.
Yeah, and the
it's pretty
pink
cool.
and stuff. Yeah.
Starman.
This one's a classic.
A very good song.
I really like this one. Fun lyrics. I really like the rhythm of his singing and everything. The chorus is fun. The outro takes a while, but it's all right.
I do not like the intro. It just sounds like he's playing guitars out of tune. I was like, oh, move on. So it was like a weird start, and then I was like, oh my god, this song rocks.
Yeah, it rips.
I think the chorus is great. The prominent vocals, that octave jump when he says Starman in the chorus just sounds like the Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Starman. I was like, oh, it's so good. And the faster acoustic guitar kind of breakdown after the chorus is really good. Though I'm not a huge fan of the electric guitar that comes after the final verse. It's fine though.
So this is another song told by a narrator.
Yeah.
The narrator, watching him come down.
Yeah, he's listening to Ziggy's broadcasting to like everybody, and he's like, "Oh, there's a spaceman. He says he's coming to greet us or whatever."
Yeah, because he like calls his friend in America, and he's like, "Yeah, like this is crazy." So it like shows that around the world they know this is happening and stuff.
Yeah, and he's like, "Don't tell my dad. He's gonna freak out."
Yeah, it's so fun. It's a really fun idea.
And you get the idea that Ziggy's message is for the youth, not for the adults. Mm-hmm. He's gonna come down and help the adults, the youth of
he told me, let the children lose it, let the children use it, let all the children boogie.
Yeah,
it's like we're gonna save the world by having the kids dance.
Boogie down.
Boogie.
It's like, okay, sure. But man, yeah, that chorus is iconic.
Yeah.
Next track is "It Ain't Easy," which is the last track on side A or side 1.
I thought it's got a pretty great chorus that's kind of very full, which complements the more empty song.
It is the only cover song on the entire
I thought
album.
it was a cover. It's very bluesy.
Yeah, it is a cover of a blues song that had been covered several times that year.
Yeah, I even wrote down, I don't get how it fits the album, to be honest.
Yeah, no, me either.
I think it's just I think he liked it because it sounds like, like the experience of youth.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he's trying to come down and make a career and
it's almost like just saying a sermon.
Yeah.
It's like the whole thing. It's just like, okay. I did not like the verses. It was like again a little too raw compared to the rest of the album so far and what comes afterwards. Mm-hmm. But the chorus is super good.
The chorus is so
it's like
better,
it becomes just so epic and the high production value that we've been having.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, I guess if you look at it as more of a, like the verses are him speaking, and the chorus is like the agreeance of the crowd or whatever it is. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. And then side B begins with Lady Stardust.
Mm-hmm.
It's a song about how Ziggy Stardust is an androgynous figure loved by both men and women.
Great song. Another great song.
I found basically the next 3 tracks I don't care about them that much. I don't know what it is, but Lady Stardust, Star, and Hang On to Yourself just don't do it for me. Like, I think they're all right. I don't hate them or actively dislike them. I wouldn't skip them.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't stand out to me the way basically the rest of the album does.
Fair.
And I don't know, it might be reflected by like Spotify's list too. They've got significantly less plays than pretty much all the other tracks.
I like the chorus in this song. Mm-hmm. In fact, I like the choruses in most of the songs.
Yeah,
the choruses are really good.
He writes a good chorus, yeah.
People have said the song is about Mark Bolan. He was the lead singer of the band T-Rex, which was a wildly popular band in England in 1972. Mark Bolan, like Ziggy Stardust, was androgynous and wore heavy makeup. And David was both a friend and a fan of T-Rex at the time.
Yeah, I liked the song. It's engaging. It's dynamic. Lyrics don't really do a whole lot for me, but I appreciate the pace change. Mm-hmm. I enjoy it. It's a good, slower song.
Star is the next track. It references a number of things happening in both 1972 and in England in general, such as the fighting in Belfast during the Troubles. And it mentions some Bevan. It mentions the name Bevan in it. Anyway, Bevan was the health minister that introduced the national health system.
Bevan tried to change the nation.
Bevan tried to change the nation. He tried.
Yeah, it's a fine song.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, some of the lyrics are also self-referential to David Bowie's current situation. He had just had a son, and the previous albums he released were not a huge success. he references playing a different character and needing money several times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do with that money. You know I could. I'm so wiped out with things as they are. I'm not saying that. That's David Bowie, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Oh, so thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Something about Star. I didn't have much notes for it, but something about it just felt like a contrived filler, which is, I don't know,
Harsh.
I know it's harsh. I know.
I think
but
it's supposed to be like how.
I feel like he felt like he had to fill out the album and push the story along.
Yeah, because the story's really loose anyway.
It's kinda loose anyway, yeah.
It picks up in the middle. So, like, I guess Ziggy is already a star at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we see that in the next song,
Hang on to yourself.
where he's having sex.
He's
an alien and he's here to bang.
He's banging groupies. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Song's good.
Yeah, I think the guitar is pretty fun on this one. I like the claps about halfway through or so.
Sure.
But I'm a sucker for like a good clap section.
Hey, we just ball and play. But then we move like tigers on Vaseline. Oof, let me tell you.
Oof.
That gives me the vapors.
Yeah, I like how upbeat this one is. It's pretty good. It's
The
where
Sex
it starts to get
Pistols said
better.
this was the inspiration for God Save the Queen.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
national anthem.
I can kind of see that.
Yeah, like the national anthem.
Yeah.
The song is about how Ziggy is boning groupies and how it was never serious love for him.
I don't like the fade out on this one. I was like, okay, you could probably just get into this one, but okay.
Yeah, I like how raw and loud it is.
Yeah.
That's about all I like about this song.
I'm tapping. I'm head bobbing to this song. It's a good song.
Yeah, sure. It's got a
But
good
it's
beat to it.
Whatever
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Ziggy Stardust.
This
the title track.
This is the one that I am surprised doesn't have the most plays. This is like the titular track to me. I mean, it's got the name and everything.
Yeah, this is where I figured out that the Spiders from Mars is the band name.
Yeah.
I was like, where are these spiders? That's going to end the world, I guess. Like, I don't know. I was like, and like, I don't know. It's just such a bummer song. Like for a story, I really like it for a story song, but it's like, yeah, his band hates him.
Yeah,
And then the fans turn on him and kill him. And it's like, oh,
Yeah.
rest in peace, Ziggy.
Rip. Yeah, the fans don't like him because he's succumbed to his own ego, and the band doesn't like him because he's a dick. Mm-hmm. In an interview, David Bowie said that the inspiration for the song was the English singer Vince Taylor. He was an early rock and roll pioneer who flamed out in the mid-'60s after declaring himself an alien god sex rock star.
Wow.
Sick.
And
Sounds like a champion to me.
yeah, and then he went crazy and moved to Switzerland.
Yeah, I really like the lyrics and Bowie's singing. It keeps me interested during the slower parts, and then the chorus is just really weird, but in a good way. Like I really love it, especially with that guitar lick that comes in at the end of it with Bowie vocalizing a bit. Yeah, this is easily my favorite song on the album.
Yeah, I like
sure.
this. It's a good song.
Yeah, I like Ziggy Stardust just fine. It's in Guitar Hero 1. Suffragette City is the next one, and historically, Manchester was known as Suffragette City.
I didn't know that.
It was the birthplace of the suffragette movement in England.
Yeah.
Yeah, women's suffrage.
So this song is Ziggy threatening his friend Henry by saying he'll send him back to Manchester.
Dang.
And he won't be able to afford to come back because, like,
I thought he was dead.
I don't know. Like, I think he dies in rock and roll suicide.
I thought, no, he's already dead in that one because time is already there waiting for him.
Oh, I don't know. I think
plays
Somebody's calling Henry. Someone's threatening Henry.
Yeah, I
plays it
thought
fast
it was
and
I thought it
loose.
was Ziggy threatening his friend Henry. Anyway, Henry's but I think it's about Ziggy.
I think it's just the narrator, isn't it?
I think Ziggy's having sex with this girl, and that's the woman that won't stop nagging him, and he's like telling Henry to leave him alone about it.
I don't know. Even Genius is just like the narrator. I don't know who that is though. Classic. If you know, tweet at us at Final Verdict.
There's several references to the movie and book A Clockwork Orange in it.
It's a great
Refers to his friend Henry as a droogie.
I never picked up on that. Actually, I've read the book
either.
and I love that movie. I've never picked up on that.
It's a good ass movie. Drink some milk.
I think this is a banger. It's got a good speed change after they get in the last few songs.
Yeah.
And I like it when he goes, I mean, I don't really get the lyrics, but I like when he goes, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Gets me every time.
Yeah, that's good. it's a classic. Like, this has been covered by so many people, including a bunch of bands
I
I like.
had no clue it was David Bowie.
Yeah.
For some reason, I was like, is this like a really old Beatles song or something?
Yeah.
But
No,
I
it
had
does.
no idea it was David Bowie.
I could see that. Yeah, he like we've said, he has a really wide range of sounds, and this is one that's like more rock and roll,
Yes.
almost kind of punky at some points. It's it's really good, and it's been covered by tons of people, especially like the piano. It's very fast and driving throughout the whole thing.
I like the false end to it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it comes
it's
back.
all right. Yeah,
Rock and Roll Suicide is our closing track.
I love this song. This is probably the best song on the album in my mind.
It is very positive.
It is so
Yeah.
good. I listened to the song. I was like, wow. I listened to it again. And then I listened to 2 different live recordings.
Oh,
I was like-
wow.
I'm like, I got to hear this live. Like, it is just so, it's a perfect end to this album.
Yeah,
I was-
absolutely.
From the lyrics to the song, like the instrumentations and the beat itself, I was like, wow, this is amazing.
It bookends 5 years really
Yes, it
well.
does,
because
doesn't it?
it
Yeah.
sounds very similar but different enough to be its own track. And it's great that they're like, the start and the end. I thought that was really
And
genius.
it's short.
Yeah.
Or at least it feels short.
Yeah.
Because again, that ending
It's like 2.5
verse
minutes or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
or bridge when he starts like yelling about give me your hands.
Give me your hands!
It's actually a large part of the song,
Yeah.
but it's like it feels so different. It's like, oh,
Wonderful.
this song rocks.
I love the ending.
It's about a guy trying to get through to his friend who just like he wants his friend to know that he's not alone.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to kill himself.
That's such a good part of the song.
Yeah.
As soon as that part
It's
of the
very
song comes out, I'm
popular
like,
or like very
yes.
positive.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much power, and the pacing build up is so good.
Yeah.
Man, so good.
Yeah.
Really, really good.
It's a good ending. Yeah. So geez, so we just talked about all the tracks. That was pretty fast.
Yeah, tell me about the record.
The record is my mom's original pressing. It is from '72. There's nothing special about it. It's got a picture of David Bowie sitting in front of the K West Furrier's shop
Yeah.
in London.
That was shot in monochrome and then they colored it.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So
that's why it looks
it's-
so weird.
Oh, it's colorized.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so like what they used to do with old photographs
Yeah.
in the 1800s.
Yeah. That's why it
and then
looks almost animated.
on the
but-
back is him standing in a London telephone booth. It has all the tracks. Oh, it has all the musicians on the back. Okay, so David Bowie plays guitar, sax. So he's the saxophonist.
That's cool.
And the vocalist, Mick Ronson, plays the guitar. Trevor Bolder plays the bass. And Mick Woodmansey plays the drums. And most of the piano is played by either Mick Ronson or Rick Wickman.
Cool.
And all the arrangements were done by David Bowie and Mick Ronson. Now, I really like Mick Ronson as a guitarist. There's a lot of good guitarists in the 70s named Mick.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to keep them apart. It's usually a toss-up between Mick Taylor and Mick Ronson. Mick Taylor is, of course, the guitarist from the early 70s Rolling Stones. And on the very bottom, it says, to be played at maximum volume, which I approve of. But other than that, there's nothing special about it. It's an RCA Victor
It does
recording.
have Kanye West name on it, though.
It does say K West on it. It does say K West on the front.
Very prominently, Kanye West did produce this
Yeah,
album.
this is a Kanye West album. But yeah, no, it's nothing special to it. It is a sort of a heavier weight vinyl for a 70s pressing. You notice that a lot of 70s vinyl is kind of thin. This is probably like 130 grain. It's not thick, but it's thicker than the crap they were putting out back then. It's a Dynaflex disc. I don't know what that means. But anyway,
Flex
yeah.
it. Bend it quick, Jamie. Bend it.
Oh, I'm probably
Don't
not
do
going to do
that.
that.
Don't
A new pressing of this album costs about $25-$30.
Yeah.
They put out like a bazillion. There's
Oh,
a
yeah.
50th anniversary edition that came out last year.
So many re-releases.
There's some expanded ones, and then there's an edition that comes with both Live Santa Monica 72, which is the live rendition of most of the album. That's a pretty good value because that album alone is like $60. If you can find this album at a used record store, I recommend it. I wouldn't pay more than $20 for an
Yeah.
original pressing. My original pressing sounds amazing, but I also have cleaned it regularly. And I don't think my mom played it a ton. There's not a lot of marks on the disc or anything.
So what'd you give it?
What would I give this? It's a solid 10 out of 13. It's not a perfect album, but I really enjoy it. That's like an 80% on the Jamie scale. Definitely one of my favorite, but not my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Plouffe, what do you think?
I kind of agree, actually. I'm pretty close. I give it a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's about right.
I kept flexing between 7 and 8, and I decided to just meet myself in the middle because, like, some of these are just amazing songs. Like, like absolutely classics, timeless, used in media. Like, they're so good. But then I don't like rock operas all that much. And the second half, a good chunk of the third quarter, basically, just kind of drags on for me with a few of the tracks that I'm just really not into. And so that kind of lowers the score for me personally. I'd like to own a copy.
Sure.
But I'm not, like, going to go out of my way to go pick one up.
No, it's like if you saw it somewhere.
If I see it in some bargain bin, a used copy that's like $5-10 that isn't, scratched to hell, yeah, I'll probably buy it.
Final verdict from Jake Bell.
Hi, Jake Bell.
Every time I thought this album might falter, it immediately knocked it out of the park. It's got a super unintrusive storyline that really sucked me in. Holy, the thought of an alien coming to save the Earth, becoming a rock star, getting too cocky, and then getting killed by his fans. Insane. How do you come up with that? I underplayed a lot during this. I think this is the perfect album.
Wow.
I agree. This was so good, and I actually struggled. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to place it because it's like just a record.
Boom.
And Swimming in Circles is like amazing.
Fair.
I have to put this in the number 1 spot.
Wow.
This album is so good that my jaw dropped a couple times. I was like, there's no way this album is so good. I wasn't even enhanced. But when I listened to it enhanced, I liked it even better. More. I struggled to write notes for the next album we're doing because I just want to listen to this one.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, this album is so good. So good. And I will be buying the nicest version of this album I can find.
Wow.
Like 100%.
Wow.
And I highly recommend giving it a listen. This was so good. Wow. From start to finish, I've been listening to it back to back, front to back, over and over again. It's like my go-to album right now. I've been really enjoying this album.
Dang.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is extremely good.
You know what kills me? It's like I never figure out what Bell likes about an album, and then he just like shoots one out of left field where he's just like, "This is the greatest album I've ever heard."
Yeah,
this is easily one of the greatest albums I've ever heard.
That's crazy.
It is so.
It thrills me. You know what was interesting? So last week we didn't record last week because I had to be at work in the evenings. And I blasted the ever-living crap out of this album.
Did you play it at maximum volume?
At maximum volume. I played it as loud as I could. If I had 2 of those giant Sony speaker things, I would have put them together.
If Bowie was spinning in his grave previously to that, he stopped as soon as you turned it on.
Yeah, if you ever end up doing that again, invite me. Because I will just sit there and fully enjoy that.
God, it was so loud in there. The Uber Eats guy was just like, "You guys having a party in there?" And I was like, No. Nah, it's just me.
That's how much food he ordered. He's like, there must be a party.
I ordered a single beef dip.
Beef dip is not a food I want on the go. It's like, please bring me a beef dip. Wow. Well, Plouffe, you've got an album to follow. Holy smokes. What do we listen to next week?
That's fine. I'm picking something by MF Doom, but probably what some wouldn't consider his best album, but it's one of my favorites. It's The Mouse and the Mask by him and Danger Mouse, which is Danger Doom.
Danger Doom.
One half of Gnarls Barkley.
Wow.
We'll talk about that more next week on Vinyl Verdict.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
Hear you then.
Read you then.
Read you then. I gotta get some milk.